Okay, so you want to be a professional gamer, or you're the parent of somebody who just told you they did. Well, you've come to the right place today, my friends. Hello and welcome. This channel's all about helping you find a path to a career in interactive entertainment. In other words, helping you become a player in the game. Joining me today is Scott, founder of Bravous Esports.
Yep, that's it.
For Little League Esports.
Yeah, it's recreational esports, youth esports. We're all about giving people an on-ramp to get into esports.
Oh, excellent. All right, well, tell me a little bit, and my audience, please, a little bit about why you got started and the direction you're hoping to take Bravous.
No, for sure. So the background's a little unusual in that the first company I founded is called Game Truck. So we do video game birthday parties, and we have for 15 years. And what we saw was the tremendous impact our coaches had working with kids in video games. And we started seeing like maybe we should be working with kids more than 2 hours a year.
Okay.
Like maybe 2 hours a week would be a good idea. I was also heavily involved in Little League for over 15 years, from a coach to a director, a board member to president. And what I've seen is, well, really a collapse in access for kids to competition. Yeah. And one of the questions I ask people is, and this may seem off topic for esports, but bear with me, JC, when's the last time we built a university in this country?
Well, I've never built one, but I totally understand what you're saying.
2009, the United States added one. So when I went to, my alma mater happens to be ASU, their enrollment is 5 times larger today. We've added 0 teams.
Yes, that's true. However, it's funny you should bring it up because the Arizona Esports Association, burgeoning esports association at ASU, is trying, desperately fighting for recognition with the community.
Absolutely. And that's what we're seeing, is that our population is tripled without an expansion in athletic opportunities. But with esports, we don't need ball fields, we don't need the same kind of infrastructure, and there's a lot of advantages. And so having a long history in the video game industry, my background is I'm a former Walt Disney executive. I have 2 engineering degrees, and I was a studio general manager for almost a decade. 20 million units sold in games, 15 games published. So I've known the video game industry for a very long time. What excites me about esports is that it's competition. In fact, for a very long time I said the video game industry was divided into 2, education games and sports games. What I mean by that is a really great single player experience is like an education, is that you're constantly advancing and rolling through what's called a regimen of competency. You're learning, you're developing, you're growing, but the game is always changing to keep you challenged. But with sports, you lock everything down because human beings are the one pattern we're genetically predisposed to be endlessly fascinated with. Relationships that last lifetimes. And what we're seeing is that perfect overlap of video games and sports competition now, that video games have become the competition. And why I'm a big believer in esports is that it most looks like our future. Sports is supposed to prepare us for the future. And when you start breaking it down, what does your office look like? What does your job look like? What does the work environment look like? We now have a mental service economy. Most professional sports were created when we had a muscle economy.
Right.
So esports, technology, an integral part of what we do. It doesn't matter what your race is or your gender, how tall you are, how fast you are. It's your skill and ability. Right. There's no bench. Everybody on a team contributes. And it's truly global. And the other part is there's a radical inclusion and respect, because tomorrow you could be on the competition's team or they could be on your team. So it's very fluid and dynamic, just like our workforce today.
That's right.
So we see esports as a sport that really can prepare our kids for the future if we give it a chance. So we come at it from that perspective, that we want to use it as a sport that gets kids ready for the future. And then really it's the first time maybe ever in video games there are adults that know more about the games than the kids do.
Yeah, well, the kids of yesterday are now the adults of today.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
So they're stepping back into the role of coach and mentor and helping young competitors grow. And so we're starting to see that through our leagues. We have players already that are now starting to enter professional tournaments and starting to compete, and they're learning the lessons about the culture and the environment and what it takes to be a great competitor.
Excellent.
And so, yeah, our core thing is a great competition. To be a great competitor is being your best when your best is most needed.
Nice, I like that.
That skill goes across. You can think of lots of jobs where you want people to be their best when it's most needed, right?
That's right. Under deadlines, I need you to perform the best you can now.
Right.
Exactly.
So that's kind of what we're all about, is creating those opportunities for kids to come together, make some friends, learn some skills, have some fun.
There you go. I like that. Scott, I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk with us today a little bit. My friends, if you found that insight helpful, then you might want to stick around because I got a couple more questions I want to ask Scott. So be sure to subscribe for that content coming real soon. However, until that time, I will see you again real soon.